So as I'm sure most of you are aware, Project Borealis is a fan-made attempt to be able to create a Half-Life successor. Born out of Mark Laidlaw's Epistle 3, Project Borealis has had a lot of mainstream gaming media attention. However, there's a second project out there aiming to do the same thing, but in a few different but very major ways. And that's what we're going to be talking about, along with every other piece of community-made Valve content I feel everybody should know about. To get things started, Half-Life Echoes, a mod that was trending on r/Half-Life not too long ago. This is a gold source mod that takes the player into a different perspective during the Black Mesa incident, and this mod kinda came out of nowhere. As seen on r/Half-Life, the trailer is already available and it's in playtesting. This is not a mod we're going to have to wait 18 years to finish like the core. Half-Life Echoes is another sub-canon mod that seems to be releasing fairly soon. Look at the screenshots that have released alongside the mod on the ModDB page, and you will see that whomever is in charge of this mod really seems to know gold source, and this may be a really entertaining Half-Life experience. You'll be seeing a live stream from me once it does release. Another piece of Half-Life content I have seen tossed around a bit for the last few years, but not getting enough attention that it really deserves, is Half-Life: A Place in the West. This is a fan-made comic that is actually paid for on Steam that takes place within the Half-Life universe. It's obviously unofficial, however, the art and the writing that goes into this to be able to tell stories that are separate from Gordon Freeman, Alex Vance, and all of the characters that we know and love really seem to add to the universe of Half-Life, and if this was considered canon, I would appreciate it. It is some really good writing, and the best writing we've seen out of Half-Life over the last 10 years. Only a few days ago on July 23rd, the 5th full chapter of this comic did release and is available for download on Steam, and I do recommend it for anybody that has some time to read and really is looking for some extra story within the Half-Life universe. To shake things up a bit, let's talk about Old PUNT. PUNT is a mod that's been in development for what feels like 10 years. What was originally born out of Blue Portal's own Reap Blue eventually turned into a lot of inner mod team politics and one of the best quote-unquote Half-Life meme mods the community has ever seen. PUNT is still not released, technically. Reap Blue did release what most would consider to be Old PUNT about a year ago, and at this point, there is still a team behind this mod, and there was a recent developer update on June 29th of this year on their ModDB page. Now, even though the PUNT team did announce an engine transition a couple of months ago, it is now known that the game is completely up and running from something separate from the Portal 2 licensed branch, and there are some new screenshots to show off exactly where the game currently is, and it does look pretty great. The issue is, and I'm sure the issue that most of us have, is we've all played the PTSD mod, and we all kind of have a little bit of a sour taste in our mouth for whatever is actually going on within the PUNT development team, and exactly what the difference between old PUNT and new PUNT, and exactly what we're going to get as a final product, and what will actually be shipped as PUNT. But as of now, it still seems that development is going on smoothly. Speaking of crazy mods, this one landed on my desk, and apparently it's been in development since 2010, and wow, this is the biggest love letter to a Valve fan I have ever seen. Currently titled Jabroni Brawl Episode 3, this is an in-development multiplayer source engine modification that essentially takes every single inside Valve joke you can possibly think of and shove it into one singular game. You want to play as the mannequin from the cut concept of Portal 2? You want to play as Info Player Start? You want to play Battle Royale where you throw cats at each other on a map that's based on the behind-the-scenes sections of Portal 1? Jabroni Brawl has you covered for that, and even though it's currently in development, I was actually given a beta build of this game from the developers, and yeah, what you're seeing is real. This is an actual game that has been in development by people on FacePunch since 2010, and even though there has been ups and downs in development, if you're a longtime Valve fan that cares about Nope.avi, Info Player Start, and everything else related to Beta Valve, Retail Valve, and Halo for some reason, Jabroni Brawl is the game for you. There's a Discord link down in the description below, and I've played it, and holy crap, is this a feature-complete game already. I'm excited to see where it goes, and this is probably my favorite thing that isn't one of the Half-Life 3 related things that we're going to be talking about, starting right now. There are currently 2 games in development right now by fan-made communities that were born out of Mark Laidlaw's Epistle 3, Project Borealis and Boreal Alyph. Both of them have had some traction. However, Project Borealis has had everybody make a video about Half-Life 3 confirmed, parentheses, by the fans. And yeah, Project Borealis does seem to be in some excellent development hands. However, there's another project called Boreal Alyph, which is doing a completely different thing. Project Borealis is trying to make what the next generation of Half-Life would look like, where Boreal Alyph is trying to make what Half-Life 3 would look like if it was developed a couple of years ago. Because Project Borealis is on the newest version of Unreal Engine, whereas Boreal Alyph is on Source Source Engine. And Boreal Alyph's team actually consists of a lot of people in the Source Engine development community that I personally know and have had experience with, whereas things like Project Borealis pull from talent all over the games industry community. So, what do we know about both? Well, one of them, Project Borealis, has had quite a larger public presence since its inception, which it started on August 25th, only a few days after Mark Laidlaw posted Epistle 3. The Project Borealis Twitter opens up and they just post one little ice model. The next day, they post a model of some Combine walls and their crowbar model just kind of spinning around. August 31st, they open up their own SoundCloud, where they post Kelly Bailey-esque Half-Life-esque soundtrack files, which early on did not actually seem to match the Half-Life style whatsoever. However, as time went on, there has been many songs made, and a lot of them do sound like they come out of a future Half-Life release. October 1st brought the first Project Borealis media update, showing concept art of their variation of Alex, a cityscape with a helicopter flyover, and something called the Snow Vehicle Concept 1. You also had some models being shown off, with the revolver, an electrical box, a strider, and just another one called An Assortment of Props. It would be a little while after for Project Borealis to actually publicly speak about anything, but on December 27th they did with their second media update. This one was a little meatier, where they actually talked about how they're trying to program the core elements of a Half-Life 2-esque experience, the UI, the weapon functionality, and the AI. A very large undertaking, especially from scratch. There was some more concept art tossed out, for example, some underground glacier tunnels, a Combine sniper helmet, an Arctic head crab, an abandoned warehouse, and some Combine APCs. They then go into how they're going to be using Mark Laidlaw's Epistle 3 as a story base, but splitting it up into distinct sections and filling in the gaps to actually have a full game. They released renders of some new models, including the HEV suit arms, gloves, a strider, a shotgun, and the gravity gun, and also some more music. And it wasn't until April 29th that we got the first look at Project Borealis Update 3. However, it was a teaser trailer for a media update for a community-made project based on an unofficial fanfiction written by a retired Valve employee. Hey Valve, that's where we're at right now. We got the full Update 3 on May 7th, and it's the most impressive one thus far. Update 3 actually came out as a full video where a lot of different things were discussed. Most importantly to me, specifically gameplay mechanical stuff, movement, UI. It's all kind of coming together, and it's actually not been that long. A few more concept art pieces were released, including one of the Houndai, a Combine Elite helmet, and some new Alex variations. That pretty much brings you up to date with everything that's been going on with Project Borealis. What about Boreal Alyph? Well, Boreal Alyph actually started in September, not that long after Project Borealis started. Work began under the team Borderword Software, which eventually did change very quickly in October to keep away from fire, but all of the very, very early stuff seemed to be up in the air, and it actually took a while for the team to be able to show off anything concrete. However, on November 4th of last year, they show off their first concept art, and then they came out with 2 updates, and I have heard information that a third is coming soon. Update 1 was fairly small, pretty much just showing off concept art, a little bit of music, and this G-Man speech sample.
Hush now, Miss Vance. Come along with me now. We've places to be and things to do.
However, it was on February 4th that the second update to Boreal Alyph came out, and this one is the one that actually got me excited. You see, Boreal Alyph, as I said, is developed in the Source Engine, and because of that, it gives it a little more of an organic Half-Life feeling. You don't have to try and meld your engine to feel like Half-Life. You're already built off of Half-Life 2. So the video that came out about this update showed off some of the maps, and they look like Half-Life 2 maps, just with some better lighting and some better texture work and, you know, just a little more updated because it's 14 years since Half-Life 2 came out. But with that said, the amount of detail that Boreal Alyph will be able to achieve working in the Source Engine will be nothing compared to what is capable in Unreal. However, it seems like this is a conscious change for Boreal Alyph because they want to be able to create an organic, real Half-Life experience. Now, that doesn't take anything away from Project Borealis, but as a person who reports on Half-Life news consistently and thinks about it all the time, it's weird to be able to see 2 separate projects go for the same goal in such different ways. Now, these 2 mods aren't competing with each other. They're trying to do 2 completely different things. However, they're contrasting in very distinct ways. And so, if anybody wants to be able to work on any of these projects, these teams are always looking for extra help. Down in the description below are the websites for both. However, you really have to balance out what you're skilled with. If you're better with Source Engine, Boreal Alyph is better for you. If you're better with Unreal, then Project Borealis is better for you. Do not let the mainstream media attention being shoved onto Project Borealis change your mind to work on Boreal Alyph, because whichever one comes out first is the one that will get the most media attention when it releases, and then when the second one comes out, it'll get just as much media attention. Putting Half-Life in your games article on your website is it's essentially just printing money for any of these companies. So don't worry about attention, and to be completely honest, if you're in it for the attention, you're in it for the wrong reasons. You're working for a Valve community. We're slowly dying. But on that same token, the idea of mainstream media people using Valve's brands and IPs and the starved community to be able to garner as many clicks as possible had another incident this month. In fact, we had YouTube videos made about a mod that just went up on ModDB with new screenshots and a single blog post. There's this new Portal 2 mod called Destroyed Aperture, and by the looks of things, the people behind this mod are very talented with the Source Engine. This looks like it could have been straight out of somewhat late development Portal 2, and I'm excited to be able to get my hands on it. Destroyed Aperture is going to be releasing on Steam this fall, and apparently as of July 10th, 95% of all of the mapping is already finished. If they're aiming for a fall release, that means they can spend a couple of months just polishing, which is excellent. And if they're looking for playtesters, contact me, I can help you out with that. There are 30 new puzzles and 20 new maps within this mod, which actually kind of puts it in the same territory of Portal 1's length, which is excellent. By the looks of the puzzles themselves, this mod is going to be really, really good, and it's been a long time since I've played a really good Portal mod. If only this was in Portal 1, because the movement mechanics in Portal 2 make me want to gouge my eyes out. But moving on, let's talk about a mod we've talked about in the past. Black Mesa Uplink is a remake of the Half-Life Uplink chapter released after Half-Life 1 was initially released and created after Half-Life 1 was fully developed. Common mistake that Half-Life Uplink was actually developed during Half-Life and then cut out. The idea of the communication center was a cut concept, but the geometry and level design of Half-Life Uplink was developed after Half-Life 1 had already released. Black Mesa Uplink is being developed by a really talented mapper, being able to try and bring as much detail that the Source Engine and the Black Mesa assets can bring to what is essentially a very good Half-Life chapter. Some new screenshots were released in the latest blog post on the ModDB page. However, the creator of this map does talk about how he had a bit of quote-unquote mapper's block and instead just made a Sven co-op level just to try and get some inspiration. However, he is apparently back at it again, and I recommend anybody that is interested in the creation of these types of games or these types of mods to always read the ModDB pages. You get some really incredible insight on just how to create things independently. Black Mesa Uplink is something that I have been looking forward to for a while. We talked about it about 6 months ago, and now we're talking about it again, and I promise we're going to be following it until it's out. Now, an interesting mod that I stumbled upon on ModDB is called Counter-Life 2. This is an amalgam of Counter-Strike Source and Half-Life 2. Essentially, it works like this. You're not playing Gordon Freeman. You're playing a T from Counter-Strike Source. You have the Counter-Strike Source movement and weapon set, and the Combine are replaced with CTs. The mechanics of Half-Life 2's health dispensers have completely changed. Instead of just healing you for a little bit, they open up the buy menu. That's right, each kill that you get in Counter-Life adds to your money total, and the money can be spent on different weapons, on ammo, on health, on armor, and it kind of shakes up the entirety of the game. The AI of the Combine is also slightly changed to more reflect the AI of Counter-Strike Source. This is a crazy mod. This is also a broken mod. It's obviously very early on in development because it doesn't work that well. There are a lot of little bits and pieces of Half-Life 2 that just weren't prepared for this to happen at all. With that being said, there is a demo available on the ModDB page right now, and I had a lot of fun playing it. And lastly, we're going to talk about probably the most popular Half-Life mod in development right now by my good friend Magic. Year of the Dragon is essentially Spyro in Half-Life. Instead of Gordon Freeman, you play as Spyro, with full third-person controls and all of Spyro's abilities, including flying and breathing fire, seamlessly integrated into the Half-Life campaign. And Magic is a magician. He is a wizard, and he is making it work pretty much flawlessly. Recently, this mod had a video update posted on Magic's YouTube channel, and it shows shows off a lot of different progress being made, and the current iteration of the mod itself seems to be fairly playable. However, if I were to ask him, he would tell me to wait a year before I could even see a build. Now, that being said, the screenshots shown are all over the internet, as this is a mod that a lot of people want to play. Spyro and Half-Life is like exploding and getting the most mainstream media attention for a Half-Life thing since Epistle 3. It's kind of crazy. Great job, Magic. But yeah, that was all the stuff from the community that I wanted to talk about from the last month. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot more that I could have talked about that I didn't. And we're going to be covering that kind of stuff in future live streams. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you on the next episode of Community Catch Up, and yeah, thanks a bunch, guys. I'll see you later.